Good day everyone, I'm Teacher Romel, your partner in today's lesson.
Welcome to ICT CSS Grade 9.
Our lesson for today is about safe handling procedures in using measuring instruments. For the objectives, at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to A. Discuss the safe handling procedures in using measuring instruments. B. Enumerate the safe handling procedures and maintenance and storage of instruments. And letter C. Appreciate the importance of safe handling, maintenance, and storage of instruments. For the pretest, activity number 1. Supply the missing word to complete the sentence. Choose your answer inside the box. The choices are instruments, care, temperature, rubber mat, and training. So we have here item number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, for the answers of the activity number 1. So item number 1, care. Number 2, rubber mat. Number 3, instruments. Number 4, temperature. Number 5, training. Okay, who got the correct answer? Now, for the recap of our previous lesson, name the tools. Write the name of the measuring instrument and its uses in the space provided below. Okay, I will give you 3 minutes to answer. Okay, for the answer, item number 1, that is triangles. Number 2, protractor. Number 3, vernier caliper. Number 4, tape measure or steel tape. And number 5, that is micrometer. Now let's proceed to our lesson proper. Okay, for the introduction, the proper use of measuring instrument is one of the most important requirements to ensure quality product. To maintain the accuracy and reliability of the measuring instruments, one has to do a good job in taking care of it, besides using it properly according to reasonable operation instructions in the manual. It must always be properly cleaned, maintained, and stored after use so that it will be ready for the next use. Now let's go to importance of measuring instruments and maintenance. Number 1 here is increased accuracy. Of course, that is understandable. Now, once the measuring instrument is properly maintained, it will give good, accurate, and precise results. On the other hand, poor maintenance may affect its accuracy. So it is crucial that measuring instruments should be carefully maintained. Now, what is your idea on how to properly maintain our instruments in order to increase accuracy? Of course, one of them is by cleaning, storing, or maybe you place it inside the cabinet so that when you are going to retrieve and use it again, you can able to get some on the cabinet. Next to that is extend life. Okay. Proper care of measuring instrument also helps to prolong lives. Of course, some of the tools are already starting to malfunction. In order to extend the life, we have to repair the tools that is malfunctioning. Next one, most measuring instruments work well for long periods with proper care. Without proper maintenance, the instruments can break and need to repair soon. So improper care raises the risk of a damaged tool, thus making it less effective, reducing the reliability and quality of the work. Next to that is lower cost. Following the right care and maintenance procedure can help reduce cost over the long term. Of course, you don't need to buy because the tools are still functional. Instead of buying new ones, you can still work with the tools. It can help you to avoid costly breakdowns, more extensive repairs, and downtime. When we say downtime, it means you have to replace the tools less often, meaning getting more out of investments and quality instruments. Getting more out of investments meaning you have to get money from your pocket, from your budget. So what will happen is your budget will lower instead of using this to some monetary functions. Maintenance. What is maintenance? It is an operation conducted to regularly maintain an instrument or equipment to lessen the likelihood of failing. So the purpose of maintenance is to lessen the failing of the functions of the instruments and equipment. It performed while the equipment is still working so that it does not break down unexpectedly. So while still the instruments and equipment are performing well, you have to conduct maintenance for that. As I have said before, one technique to properly maintain is by cleaning, inspection, and if possible, you have to repair some few parts that is not functioning well. It involves functional checks, servicing, repairing, or replacing of necessary devices, instruments, equipment, and others. Okay, for maintaining the measuring instruments, we have here the number 1. Store instruments in a suitable area. Of course, you have to provide a storage area like cabinet or boxes for classified tools and equipment. Number 2, properly lubricate instruments to avoid corrosion. So there are some parts of the instruments and equipment needs to lubricate. Of course, you have to put lubrication in that instruments to avoid corrosion. Always have a proper instrument handling. Of course, the proper way of handling the instrument is you don't need to throw. If somebody if you want to lend tools and equipment to somebody, while not using, you place not near on the edge of the table so that it will not fall. Avoid exposing your tools in extreme temperatures like heat and cold. Specifically, the heat will cause damage to instruments that is electronics type. Okay, number 5, get professional maintenance services if necessary. If you do not know how to maintain or it's not your function, you have to look for somebody to maintain that. Specifically, the manufacturer to call up for maintenance. Okay, this one is popular. Number 6, clean measuring instrument after using. So after using, because dirts and smudges or even water content will destroy or damage the instruments. So that is why we have to clean it after using. Your hands with which is wet of your sweat, the sweat will cause damage also to the instruments when the instrument is not properly cleaned. Number 7, instruments for their specific purposes only. Of course, use instruments for their specific purposes, meaning to say, if this instrument is for measuring, it should be used for measuring, not for hammering, or do not apply force. Okay, just like, say, for example, a hammer. So a hammer will be used for striking the nail, not for any other purposes. Okay, for safe handling procedures in using measuring instruments, okay, we have here, always clean the measuring equipment before and after use. So that is number 1. Before and after, you have to clean. And number 2, perform regular testing to determine that the result is still within standard regulation, especially instruments that is testing instrument. You have to perform regular testing, especially the reading. If the reading is in good condition or exact, you have to test that one. And number 3, provide an assigned area for storing. As I have mentioned a while ago, you have to place storage area. You have to classify first, or you have to segregate the tools from the other tools. Let's say smaller tools and bigger tools. They must be categorized and stored in its assigned storage area. And number 4, follow instructions on how to use the measuring devices properly. Some of the tools when you buy, there is accompanied with instructions on how to use and properly care. Number 5, provide working instructions on how to check it daily. Use the check sheets. So these check sheets are important in safe handling. The purpose of the check sheet is to monitor the daily activity of the tools, especially when checking. You can able to determine how many days the tools are being checked for maintenance. And number 6, use only reliable measuring tools for specific parts to be assured. Of course, you have to use measuring tools that is what? That is functional. Number 7, segregate and dispose of defective measuring instruments to avoid wrong usage. Of course, the defective one should be separated from the conditioned one so that when you use it, you can guarantee that your measurement is accurate. Number 8, call the manufacturer of the measuring instruments if there was a major concern on the instruments. That is not your function to repair. Possibly some of the instruments are still on the guarantee, so you have to call for the manufacturer to repair it. Care should be taken to prevent unexpected shocks or rough conditions such as dropping, throwing, or hitting the tool against hard surfaces. And number 10, place rubber mats in the workplace can help to protect tools from damage should anyone drop them accidentally. So, if possible, you have to place a rubber mat. And number 11, it is important to have a training to ensure the measuring equipment is properly handled at all times. That is why if there is an new instruments received, there must have a proper training on how to handle and how to use the tools and instruments. And number 12, always observe and apply 5S in your field of work. So what is 5S? Okay, we have here to sort or segregate the tools and equipment, categorize, then set in order, and the next one is shine. You have to clean, then standardize. You must have your standard procedure, and sustain. Of course, it should be continuous process. Now, let's go to cleaning the measuring tools. First is follow the specific tools guidelines in cleaning measuring instruments and tools to ensure they are thoroughly cleaned and prevent damage. Some of the tools have catalog on how to clean the instruments. For example, if an instrument is mostly aluminum, avoid using alcohol because alcohol will react with the aluminum. Possibly the aluminum will be softened by the alcohol, or shall we say maybe the cause of corrosion as it can lead to deterioration of the aluminum. For brass, use a clean cloth dampened with distilled water. So that is how we clean. Then number 2, avoid leaving the instruments in contact with dirt or oil for long periods because the oil can cause corrosion. So if you have seen oil on the instruments and equipment, automatically you have to clean it because as mentioned, it will cause corrosion. Then number 3, stop touching tools with bare hands since skin oils can cause damage. Same, the oils from our skin can cause corrosion. Number 4, use a smooth, non-abrasive cloth to clean the instrument. So as per recommendation, you have to use cloth, plain cloth only. Say for example, flanela, that is soft cotton, in order to clean the surface of the instruments. Now next, let's go to cleaning schedule. There are 3 factors to consider in planning to schedule in cleaning the instruments or devices. 1. The instrument in which you use it. Many instances can lead to more frequent cleaning of measuring devices if you use it, especially in dusty environment. Okay, of course, in cleaning, always prepare the area that is clean. Next, number 2, the task for which you use it. You have to remember that as the whatever the function of the tool, you have to use it in its according to its function. The task in using the tools or measuring instruments will also influence how much it needs cleaning, especially when it was used with oil, liquid, tiny particles or dirt and dust. You have to remember the statement, use the right tool for the right job. Meaning to say, whatever tools is that, you have to use the tool for its function. Number 3, legal requirements. In certain industries, rules and regulations may require you to clean tools more often to adhere to companies' cleanliness standards. Okay, let's go to storing. Storing is keeping the measuring instruments in a safe, protected place for future use. It is very important element of proper instrument care, as these devices can spend significant amounts of time in cupboards or cabinets where they may get damaged. So in other words, your cupboards, your cabinet should be cleaned also. Hence, it is very important to follow the instructions and recommendations on how to store each instrument written in the manual. So we have here the manual. You have to follow all the instructions that you read in the manual. The following are some instructions on how to properly store the measuring instruments or tools. 1. Store the instruments in appropriate place such as toolbox, cupboards, and cabinets. Number 2, use dividers or cases to separate the devices so that they do not crush and harm each other. So as mentioned, you have to separate big from the small. Smaller one will get more damage than the big ones. Store instruments at the appropriate temperature, humidity, and other conditions appropriate to the tools. Keep devices away from heat sources including sunlight, meaning to say you do not have to expose the instruments in sunlight. Number 5, keep the instruments away from any equipment that could cause vibration or motion. What are the benefits of proper storing? First, tools and parts will maintained, and easy to find. That is the benefit, easy to find. Productivity is improved by not wasting time searching for devices, parts, and equipment. If the tools are not in their proper places, you waste time in searching, so you are already also wasting your time to start your work. So instead that your work will finish on time, you are delayed because you waste your time in searching the devices and parts of the equipment. Workshop personnel build transparency and pride in their job. Of course, uh, they have their own cabinet. They can say that they have their what? Their own monopoly of the work. Okay, let's go to activities. Activity number 1. What are the safe handling procedures that you learned? Write at least 5 procedures inside the box. Okay, on the top, we have here the safe handling procedures. So, what are the safe handling procedures? You write it inside the box. Next, activity number 2. Give at least 5 measuring instruments. How do you clean and store your chosen measuring instruments? Write your answer inside the table. So we have here first column, measuring instrument. You have to choose measuring instruments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and write. Then the second column, you write on how you clean. And the third column, you write on how to store, the proper way on storing the instruments written on item number 1 to item number 5. Wrap up. How will you take care of your measuring instruments? Cite at least 3. Okay, let's go to the post test. Prepare your answer sheet for the post test. Directions, modified true or false. You have to write true if the statement is incorrect. If false, change the underlined word or words to make the statement correct. Let's say, for example, item number 1, the underlined word here is area. If it is true, you write on the blank true. If it is false, do not write false. Instead, you change the word area to another word. Okay, we have also number 2, unlubricate. Number 3, abrasive. Number 4, dividers or cases. Number 5, vibration or motion.
That ends our lesson. Thank you.